Another best of 5 from the Russian Championships. And this time I know it's a best of 5. And I will not mess this up. We have Electr1c versus John Silver. These are two players I have not had the pleasure of casting before, so I have no idea of their skill levels or their playstyles. Let's get into it. Round 1 is apparently Warriors of Chaos versus Vampire Counts, which is one of the most abysmal matchups in the game. In Warhammer 2, it used to be pretty unfun, as it was all about Warriors of Chaos using 6 skirmish cav, killing as much stuff as they could, and then engaging with aspiring champions or something with low model counts that the Mortis Engine couldn't kill them and try to win that way. For the Vampire Counts, it was all about Mortis Engine blobbing. In Warhammer 3, looks like Warriors of Chaos have taken a style to just also Mortis Engine blobbing. This is an old build. I haven't seen something like this in a while. Usually the Festus Mortis blobs have died out over time. Because Dragon cycle charging got really, really good. It looks like we don't have a Dragon on the other side. We don't even have a Mortis Engine on the other side. Ooh. Counts are in a bad spot. So, looking at the rest of this build, we have Aspiring Champions, Triple Chosen, the Mirror Guard. We do have a Chaos War Shrine of Nurgle for more healing, Chaos Warriors with Halberds, Festus the Leech Lord, and the Weird Spawn for armor sundering and magic damage. Festus the Leech Lord has his Mortis Engine, where is it? His Mortis Engine and healing, switch on and off type thing. He has his Pestilent Potions. Spreading debuff, okay. Miasma with Pestilence, again, another debuff. And Blight Boil, really? Blight Boil? Okay. Okay, I think that's an interesting choice. Double Gaze of Nagash coming in? Huh, both Necromancers have Gazes of Nagash. Okay. That seems fine. So, the Filthy Nurgle Blob is going to walk up. On the Vampire Count side, we have 5 zombies, one of which is the Tithe. We have Vlad von Karstein with Summon and Heck. We have double Necromancer, both on Corpse Carts, both with their Forbidden Rods, both with Gaze of Nagash. This isn't legal in Fruit rules, but I don't know what they're doing over there. They have their own rules, so I'll just presume they have it covered. Then we have triple Graveguard, 2 with great weapons. One is the Sternsman. All of them have magic damage. Cairn Wraiths are in the back. Cairn Wraiths, interestingly enough. 4 Cryptors, that all tracks, and yeah, Vlad. I think this is largely doomed from the counts. The way to counter the Mortis Engine blob has been established with the Blood Dragon Lord and effective cycle charging and really good breath attacks and all that stuff. Or I guess you counter Mortis Engine, which is the old way of playing it, but either way, this isn't that. It's like a straight up front rush. Unfortunately here for John Silver, he is piling a whole bunch of infantry units on top of each other. They're not going to kill any faster, but they are going to get all mortised at the same time, so that is going to be a bit unfortunate. I'm going to play this at ×2 speed because it's pretty easy to cast. And we do have a Blight Boil going off. It does a ton of damage to the Tithe, not as much as the Graveguard. Blight Boil takes forever to cast and only has 33% armor piercing, which is generally why it's considered not a very good spell. But, I mean, if your enemy's going to blob like this, then it can be fine. Zombie Summon in the middle, but there's no ranged assets to muck up, so the Zombie Summon isn't really going to get a lot accomplished. And slowly but surely, the counts are getting ground down. The Chosen have taken almost no damage. This whole Nurgle blob is just doing completely fine. Other Blight Boil is going to explode, dealing some really good damage to zombies and leaving just the Graveguard to get Mortis Engine. Blah, blah, so and so. Balance of Power is slightly favoring the Warriors of Chaos, but I think it should be majorly favoring the Warriors of Chaos. There's no way the counts are going to win this. Cryptors are already nearing their heal cap in some places, so are the Graveguard, and Nurgle still hasn't even lost a single unit. They're all chilling, they're all totally fine. They're getting some healing from the Chaos War Shrine of Nurgle, which I imagine is fully charged by now. Yeah, it's fully charged, so it's healing them all up. And if Festus felt like it, he could switch over to his healing aura, but he doesn't even have to. Heals everything up, heals everything up. We have another Blight Boil coming out from him. Boop! Damages more Graveguard, more Sternsman. Thankfully, Crumbling isn't real, so these Graveguard are just going to chill at 0 health for a long time, but there, they eventually fade away. Yada yada, Mortis Engineing down, a couple units disintegrate, Cryptors are fading and fading. That is going to be that. I imagine once all the infantry are gone, he'll switch from Harbinger of Pestilence to the healing one just to heal cap his own forces even faster and try to army loss Vlad von Karstein, because he doesn't really want to fight him. Doesn't have anything here that can do a whole lot of damage to Vlad. though. I suppose these are chosen. These are mostly chosen, so they'll be fine. But balance power shift pretty heavily against the vampire counts. And that's the Warriors of Chaos Vampire Counts matchup. Avoid it. Avoid it at all costs. It's not a good time. I think that was a pretty significant build diff, unfortunately. 7,200 value on Festus. Weird Spawn did 1,400. All the infantry chilled. Chills did fine. Aspiring Champions did fine, but it was mostly about chilling around El Festa, so... Vlad didn't get much done. Neither did the Necromancers. Graveguard struggled. Cryptors did well. Everything else just died. Alrighty, game 2. Electr1c is on Khorne this time. We have double Fleshhounds. 1 Minotaur with great weapons, double Furies up in the sky, front line of mostly Marauders and Chaos Warriors. Ooh, a couple Chaos Warriors of Khorne. That's been a while. We do have a Herald of Khorne. Looks like he is on his Blood Shrine mount, so he has a little bit of healing when he's in melee, and he has a whole bunch of buffs for all of his friends. Double Cultists of Khorne, both with the Bloodletter summons. On the other side for the Dark Elves, we have Triple Scourger on Chariot, Malekith on his Dragon with Soul Stealer, and Chillwind, interestingly enough. Double Cold One Knights, Blackheart Corsairs, Bleak Swords, and Blackheart Corsair Handbows. So as the battle starts, Malekith is going to land on the Cultists, and decides better of it. Flies away before he really gets surrounded by Minotaurs or anything like that. Just gets a little bit of poke damage. Seems fine. Scourger and Chariots really want to hit those Minotaurs. Maybe the Fleshhounds, but definitely the Minotaurs. They don't have a whole lot of great targets. I guess the Herald of Khorne. Herald of Khorne up on his Blood Shrine is a pretty good shot for them. He doesn't have a lot of HP, only 5,000, which sounds like a lot, but it's really not that much. Malekith gets a nice charge attack onto the Cultist of Khorne, hitting him in the rear, getting 2 good shots, and he's really trying to snipe him out before he can get the Bloodletter summon off, though I honestly don't think the Bloodletter summon would be that big of a deal in this matchup if the Dark Elves zone it out correctly. And already terror routing. That Cultist might honestly just break soon, but Malekith really gooned him down quickly. Scourger and Chariots focusing on the Cultist of Khorne. Not a great target. He is on foot, so he's hard to hit, and he's shielded. So all that can make it rather difficult to really deal with him. What has armor sundering? Why is his armor low? That was weird. Oh, it's 15. It's probably Malekith casting some stuff like Chillwind or something. Pretty huge Soul Stealer in for Malekith. He is surrounded by Minotaurs of Khorne right now, though. And the Herald of Khorne popping the Locust Wrath, giving the Minotaurs 102 melee attack before you factor in their bonus versus large. So Malekith is trying to use the Soul Stealer to disincentivize them from staying on top of him. It doesn't really work, and they are just going to beat the absolute shit out of him. That's after healing. He's still taking that much damage, so Malekith is in real trouble. Double Cold One Knights are both attacking the single Chaos Fury, which is definitely overcommitting to that asset. They need to spread out. In fact, one of them should be running up and saving Malekith right now, but it doesn't look like they're going to do that. Fleshhounds of Khorne are intercepted by Scourger and Chariots, but again, that's 3 Chariots for 1 Fleshhound, and this whole time Malekith is just getting beat up with 0 supports. These units do need to come up and save him. It does not look like they will be pulled up in time, and Malekith might go from 100% to dead in the blink of an eye here. Rough start for Electr1c. Chaos Furies of Khorne are finally dealt with, and these Cold Knights need to get pulled over to help with all of these large targets. All the Fleshhounds, the Minotaurs, they're all excellent targets for the Chaos, the Cold One Knights. But Scourger Chariots also need to get out of melee. They need to back off, so a couple rough micro mistakes here. The front line for the Dark Elves is holding okay versus Khorne, but it is going to fall pretty soon. You can see the Bleak Swords are getting rather low. And another Soul Stealer, pretty huge for Malekith, is going to hit a whole lot of units, including these Marauders of Khorne that are apparently in here. Yeah, they're in there. Okay, that makes more sense, but huge damage coming down. Nice way for Dark Elves to get back into this game after a rough start. And this big blob, I wouldn't be surprised if Malekith throws a breath attack down onto here or something just to make it even worse. Cold Knights get entirely shellacked by this gigantic blob and the Bloodletter summon. But they did what they had to. I wonder if they even got good value, if they just got murdered. Nope, they just got murdered. Sad. Khorne's in a pretty good spot this game overall. They've won the frontline fight. They took out all of the cold ones, so it's just down to Malekith and Triple Scourgerunner that are running low on ammunition to carry this entire game. And it looks like, again, they are targeting the Cultist of Khorne. I mean, he already used his Bloodletter summon. He's not particularly useful now. This other one also used his Bloodletter summon. So the Cultist of Khorne are now just dead weight to the Khorne army. They don't really care if they die. Malekith secures his Blackheart Corsair Handbows just for a little bit more shooting in the late game, and this Bloodletter summon will now fade away as Scourge Runners used a little bit of ammo on them. Scourge Runners do really need to get their target priority in order. Need to start shooting the Minotaurs or the Herald of Khorne with the rest of their ammo, because Malekith and 3 Chariots can cycle charge all of these Chaos Warriors and Marauders to death. That's not really a problem for them. The problem is going to be the Minotaurs and the Herald of Khorne. So Dark Elves actually could still have a place in this game if they properly focus their efforts. Khorne is running around just trying to take care of the last of the Dark Elf forces that isn't the Chariots. Dark Elves are trying to keep their remaining infantry safe near the Chariots, and a quick Soul Stealer pops out onto the Herald of Khorne. Also managed to hit the Minotaurs of Khorne, which is the 2 targets you really need, and it also gives Malekith a lot of health back. Dark Elves start to take the edge on the balance of power. I guess I agree. That seems a little ambitious, but I guess I agree. It's mostly even, so calm down, Hummus Boy, calm down. Quick little breath attack. Another Gaze of Malice, and the Scourge Runners are poking in on the Minotaurs. That is the correct target. You can see they're doing a lot of damage with the last of their ammunition, which is good. We're cutting for the Dark Elves. Another Soul Stealer onto the Herald of Khorne. It also happens to hit a couple Chaos Warriors, so that is good, I guess. Maybe could have waited for a time where the Herald was next to the Minotaurs, though it might be possible that Khorne is avoiding letting that happen. Electr1c doesn't seem to want those two to be next to each other for that exact purpose. Scourge Runner Chariots are out of ammunition, so now they have to start cycle charging to be of any effect, and the Minotaurs of Khorne are trying to zone them out, but Dark Elves have taken a pretty big lead on the balance of power, and at this point I agree. They're just having a tough time really keeping anything in line, and Malekith gets a nice breath attack that happens to hit some Marauders of Khorne and the Minotaurs. Now Blob fight commences, which means a Soul Stealer is coming in soon, because Malekith definitely has one by now. He's not heal capped, and he can use Soul Stealers past his heal cap, so he definitely has one in the tank. But Khorne is having a rough time. His Minotaurs are already routing. Oh yeah, Malekith has another spell besides Soul Stealer. Okay, I don't know how much magic he has then, because he's been using these, then no idea. Minotaurs do break. Herald of Khorne is going to get out of this fight, and we'll see if the Chaos Warriors can really grind through all this stuff, but I doubt it, especially because the Chariots are about to cycle charge again. Malekith is still hunting down this Herald of Khorne. If he used Chill Wind, then I doubt he has enough Winds of Magic for Soul Stealer. Otherwise, why would you use it if you were just about to get another Soul Stealer? I don't know. You might get one soon, but not right now. Herald of Khorne is definitely fighting back against Malekith, but with 58-48 stats versus 56-20, the Herald of Khorne is pretty free. Like, Malekith should never miss if he's attacking that guy. Though he is currently sitting in Chaos Warriors, he needs to be careful of that. Khorne Chaos Warriors suck because they're slow and expensive, but they don't suck because of their stats. Their stats are actually pretty great. 62-39, it is buffed up by the Herald of Khorne significantly, but Malekith shouldn't sit in them. Which he isn't. He decides to fuck off. Fair. Now Scourge Runner Chariots can chase off these Marauders. These other Scourge Runners are chasing off the Minotaurs of Khorne. The Black Ark Corsairs can just die for the great cause, but that's fine. The Herald of Khorne is actually regenning off them, so maybe it is a good play for Malekith to dive in here and get some more pokes off of him. Just try to dissuade him from getting a bunch of free value. Get some nice hits. And the Herald of Khorne is demonic, so if he starts crumbling, he'll probably just die outright. He's not undead. It's not like he can actually just vibe while crumbling. Things are getting pretty low. Malekith probably has a spell soon. Don't know if it's Soul Stealer or Chill Wind, but he needs something. The Herald of Khorne is just regenning up as Malekith decides to T-pose on him. There, big hit. I think that'll probably be GG. Another big hit. Herald of Khorne is really chilling on his leadership. He's just fine, but a Horn of Khorne is popped. Herald of Khorne gets down low enough that he is going to start disintegrating, and there he goes. Bounce power has shrunk. The Chaos Warriors of Khorne are honestly probably about to Terror out, and if they do, this game will be over. Boop, Terror out, game's over. John Silver tying up the series 1-1. 1-1. Herald of Khorne did fine. Minotaurs of Khorne tried to carry. Cultists of Khorne did okay. Their Bloodletter Summons also did fine. Chaos Warriors of Khorne really did well. Fleshhounds did awesome. Chaos Furies held up the Knights forever. Marauders of Khorne sucked and died. On the side, Malekith hard carried, as he usually does. Triple Scourge and Chariot did okay, but not as much value as you would think. Golden Knights also struggled to get their real value out. And the Handbows did mixed, but one of them did very, very well. All right, Game 3, High Elves versus Vampire Coast. This has become a decently common matchup these days, with Vampire Coast being so strong and High Elves getting some buffs. It is a way to try and combat one of the top-tier factions. Though it looks like we have a very old-style build from Electr1c. Interesting. This is like a Warhammer 2 style. fighting the High Elves. Helfen is also an old map. Hello, Helfen. So we've triple mortars to fight archer spam, 4 bomber mobs to take out any front line there is, then we have a front line of swords, and triple crabs, rotting Prometheans gunnery mobs, with 1 animated Hulk, because I guess they had the money. Fellbat in the sky, 2 scurvy dogs off in the distance, and we do have dashed line. Looks like a vampire caster with pistol. Wind of Death, Drown Dead, Black Parapet, and Invocation Heck. In the sky, we have a Flamespire Phoenix, a Frostheart Phoenix, a Blank Wizard, looks like a Life Wizard on a Sun Dragon. Moon Dragon, whoops. Moon Dragon with Regrowth, Earthblood, and Dwellers Below. We have the Fireborn, Sisters of Avalorn, Towns of Torquelada, Spearmen, White Lions of Krace, and Spearmen. Okay. So pretty elite single entity build, and unfortunately for the Vampire Coast, they did not bring a lot of stuff to deal with single entities, ranged-wise, though this could be really bad for the High Elves. Flamespire Phoenix lands straight onto a mortar, and it's now going to get surrounded by the Lamprey's Revenge and another Gun Crab mob, and the Frostheart Phoenix is also diving in? Really? I think this is a bait for a Dwellers Below, but Dwellers Below doesn't even do that much damage to the Lamprey's Revenge. This might just be throwing away 2 birds right off the start. Really nice breath attack, takes out one of the mortars and also lowers the crew's health to about half. So that's good, but I don't know about the rest of this. There's the Dweller's bait. Let's see how much damage it actually does, because I don't think it's going to do a whole lot to these crabs. Yeah, not really. Dragon Lady is going to land on the mortars, really focusing in on the mortars, but man, these Flamespire and Frostheart Phoenix is taking a lot of damage. One of the mortar teams is dead from the Dwellers Below. Another mortar team is about to die from the Phoenixes. And these rotting Prometheans are after the Moon Dragon Lady. Kind of surprised these Fellbats haven't been used to like come in from the side and really block them in. Interesting. Also the Fireborn are just chilling. Seems like the High Elves are content to let these triple single entities do their thing. Though I am concerned about just letting them sit in the crabs like this. Moon Dragon's taking a lot of damage. Flamespire Phoenix taking a lot of damage, so is the Frostheart. A bit, but not that much. Big Overcast Invocation of Heck, trying to keep everything alive, though it does do some damage to the Fleet Admiral. And another breath attack onto the mortars. Man, the High Elves hate these mortars, apparently. I guess they really just want to secure things for their 2 archer units to be able to kite for the rest of the game. And then stay out of the range of the bombers, I guess. But let's see if it's worth it. I'm alarmed and frightened. Moon Dragon Lady lands on the mortars again to try and take them out. There are crabs to run after her. Where are the animated Hulks? Animated Hulks joined the fight on the birds. Ooh, bombers turning around. If they have fire at will on and they're not facing the right direction, they could just bomb all their own forces, which would definitely not be worth it. Gonna hit the fast forward a little bit as we have a single entity grind fest. Sisters of Avalorn and the Towns of Torquelada are now firing in on the Vampire Caster, who is trying to dodge around, throws out a quick summon, I think, to just walk up and harass and maybe waste some of their ammo. Big breath attack from the Moon Dragon, unfortunately goes on one random model rather than the center of the blob, but they can't control where it goes. Scurvy Dogs are moving in from the back. You can see them coming out of the trees now, and Fellbats are in position to flank these archers if they ever feel like it. For now, the crabs are still beating down the Flamespire Phoenix. Healing cap well within sight, has taken a lot of damage, so is the Moon Dragon Lady. But all 3 mortars are dead, so the Vampire Coast, the High Elves did accomplish their task. Wind of Death, Wind of Death, Wind of Death. Some Spearmen are going to get out of the way. White Lions of Krace, not quite, and the other one is just going to duck out of the way, as the Wind of Death did about half HP off 1 White Lion. So overall, not a worthwhile cast because the High Elves were able to dodge, but it was ambitious and it was very close. It's a good dodge there from the High Elves. Flamespire Phoenix is routing. It got one of its rebirths off, it looks like, judging by how dramatically its heal cap went down. I mean, like, closer to its health bar. And Frostspire Phoenix is now taking a bunch of damage as well. Moon Dragon Lady's also feeling the heat. So all the coast lost a bunch of stuff. The High Elves have also taken a ton of damage and used a lot of magic to get here, so we'll see how it ends up going for them. Earthblood onto the Archmage of Life and her White Lions below, and archers are doing a lot of damage to the Fellbats, though I do have to be worried that the archers are both at half ammunition already, and they haven't touched the crabs. The crabs could be a real problem in the late game for the High Elves if they're not careful. Flamespire Phoenix is back after flying away for a bit. Frostheart Phoenix is still mucked up. The Fireborn are here The Fireborn are sprinting in. And I wonder if the bombers turn to shoot towards them or if they just leave it alone. Dogs got onto the back line. High Elves didn't seem to see them coming. We didn't see any spearmen moving back that way or anything like that. So the dogs are now just tearing apart the Sisters of Avalorn and the towns of Torquelada. With the front lines moving up at the same time, the archers don't have a lot of places to go, but it looks like the scurvy dogs are just going to path out. They don't feel like fighting spearmen and dying for this cause. They're fine just getting the damage they got and backing off. On the other side, Lamprey's Revenge and the other dogs are going to... crabs, sorry. Are going to go fight the Fireborn. Doing pretty good damage there. As Fellbats muck up. The towns of Torquelada stop them from firing at anything else. Bombers are turning to try and fire at the Sisters of Avalorn before they get out of range, and how much damage can they do before they go? It looks like a pretty darn good amount. Things are looking solid for the Vampire Coast. Balance of power is slightly in their favor, but overall quite even, and the animated Hulks have all clumped up to continue swinging at the Frostheart Phoenix for fun. Sisters of Avalorn are taken out by the bombers. Ooh, yeah, they ain't coming back. Or if they do, it's going to be in such insignificant numbers that it won't matter. Towns of Torquelada are going to survive. They have a decent number of models. They're fine there. Fireborn are very injured. Moondragon Lady's very injured. Flamespire Phoenix, are you heal capped yet? Close. It's out here attacking dogs and stuff. But it's so low, it might just rout if the dogs turn around and fight it. Where's the second dog? There you are. So they should be able to finish off the sisters just fine. Another Dwellers Below. It will not do very much friendly fire. So that was a good cast, but again, it's on these monstrous infantry, which monstrous infantry don't take a lot from Dwellers Below. And a big bomber volley just takes down the Fireborn. Yeah, they're feeling the heat. They're feeling the pressure. Animated Hulk still finding Frostheart Phoenix. We'll check in with that at 5. What 5? It's a news term. I was just being silly. Flamespire Phoenix kills itself because it didn't get its rebirth off. It had health, but if it gets to a certain health point, it can either rebirth or just die. So, rest in peace, that Phoenix. And the Vampire Coast do look like they have a pretty good handle on this game. The Frostheart Phoenix is still back there fighting Animated Hulks, meaning it's not up here helping carry. And we don't know what can really kill these crabs. I mean, this one could even get Invocation to Hex support if it wanted to. Towns of Torquelada getting bombed out. We even have a Wind of Death coming? That's going to be a good one. Ow! It was undercast. Okay. It was still, like, good, but it was undercast, so it wasn't the big, gigantic Wind of Death you're used to. I maybe would have preferred that Invocation of Heck on this Rotting Promethean mob if it's just going to be an undercast Wind of Death, but it was a pretty solid shot. Hit 2.5 units. Moondragon lands trying to get something done, but now it's going to get surrounded by crabs and hit in the face with a bunch of bombs. High Elves are in mass exodus, leaving just a White Lion and a Spearman to do all the fighting. Frostheart Phoenix, as we've said a million times, is still back there, just fighting Animated Hulks. Definitely needs to be up here or somewhere else. An Earthblood is going to prevent army losses. That was just about army losses until that Earthblood came in. But it won't hold for too much longer, as this bomb barrage should finish off the High Elves. And Coast win it. I don't know about the triple bird build. I don't know about it. Flamespire Phoenix was not able to go around to get off its fire poops. It just dove into melee right away and took a ton of damage. So I don't know how I feel about this build. Frostheart Phoenix also felt a little random. Moondragon Lady did great. She was fine. The archers were okay. They got flanked by dogs. That stuff happens. Infantry Corps was alright. You need the White Lions in case of like depth guard and stuff that are actually quite common in this matchup now. And they could do okay versus crabs in the late game, but yeah, maybe cut the birds. Maybe. On the other side, for Electr1c, he just withstood the pressure and hung on. His crabs hard carried. Mortars all got focused down right away. Animated Hulks also did quite well. Dogs did fine. Bombers did great. The rest didn't have to do anything. GG. We have Nurgle versus Slaanesh. One of the cursed matchups. Oh boy. It got a little better when Skirmish Cav got added to the game, but not a lot better. So from Nurgle, it's usually just a single entity spam box, and from Slaanesh, they just need to try and break the box, and usually they can't, but we'll see. Kugoth Plaguefather with Rancid Visitations and Blightboil. Electr1c really likes Blightboil, I guess. Barons of the Bog to lower everybody's damage by 25%, and to give his whole army perfect vigor. Cultist Nurgle on the Cultist Shrine for AoE healing, AoE debuff of damage, and a Gate of Nurgle summon. Then we have a bunch of Plague Bears, and Chosen Nurgle, and a Soul Grinder. On the Slaanesh side, we have 4 Marauder Horsemen of Slaanesh, front line of Devoted Marauders with Spears, Devoted Marauders in general, a Keeper of Secrets, a Chaos Sorcerer of Shadows of Slaanesh with Miasma, Pit of Shades, and then this is the Mortis Engine one, right? Mortis Engine as long as stuff around it dies, regen when casting, immune to contact effects if it's resistance. Okay, then we have Sigvald, Mirrorguard, more Devoted Marauders. Alright. Soul Grinder of Slaanesh is going to be shooting at random skirmish cav for a bit, then he falls back. Kugath is also shooting at random skirmish cav for a bit, trying to kill off models and therefore reduce their overall damage. It looks like so far that is going well for him. I wonder if he uses a Rance Visitation on either of these skirmish cav to just really take him down a peg. I don't know. At this close of range, it's impossible for him to miss, so he's going to get a bunch of good damage out. And it looks like we even have a Pit of Shades getting cast. It's not going to do that much damage to the Barons of the Bog. That Plague also fine. It's a tough cast there for Slaanesh. Meanwhile, the Soul Grinder of Nurgle does retreat back inside, and the Keeper of Secrets is just going to straight up follow it. Kugath might turn around and come into melee here. It's Soul Grinder too. They could all just snipe out this Keeper of Secrets quite easily. Acquiescence lowers Kugath's defense down to 31. He's a gigantic target, and he is getting shot by 4 skirmish cav at the moment, so he has to be rather careful about that. A Whip of Agony or whatever comes out from the Keeper of Secrets. It doesn't do that much damage. And it's also not a bound spell anymore, right? It costs Winds of Magic, or is it bound? Oh, it is bound. Okay, then that was fine. I was going to say if you used Winds of Magic on that, that was a waste. Kugath taking a shit ton of damage. He needs to fall back. He only has healing from the passive healing of the cultist if he can get his shrine charged up. He didn't bring, like, the heal. What? He also brought why? He brought the healing for Nurglings, but he doesn't have any Nurglings besides his own summon, but they don't need the healing because they're worthless. Anyway, that's silly. What I was trying to say is he didn't bring the Fleshy Abundance healing, so. He can get the Nurgle army passive healing pretty soon, probably onto Kugath, and should do that. But, yeah. I wouldn't advise bringing the Nurgling healing unless you're actually going to bring Nurglings, but the summon alone isn't worth it for that. Keeper of Secrets dove in too greedily and too deep, much like the Dwarves of Moria, and it is now going to die for its sins, though Kugath did take a lot of damage. Can't tell if the damage was from it? No, definitely not. 500 value? Nope. Much more the Marauder Horsemen shooting at it the whole time. Devoted Marauders of Slaanesh are here. They're trying to push off these summoned Nurglings from the Marauder Horsemen so they can continue throwing. And Kugath is honestly quite close to dead. The Chaos Sorcerer of Shadows is here, though his Mortis Engine effect is 18% charged, so it's not that intense just yet. Pit of Shades cast again in the middle of the Barons of the Bog once more. Not really any locus of infantry, just really trying to Pit of Shades down the Barons of the Bog, and it doesn't do that much damage to them, so I do think those are unfortunately very poor casts. Kugath's running around, just trying to stay alive for a little bit longer until there it is. The tier 2 Nurgle army ability gets cast on him for Fecundity for some healing. Cultist of Nurgle, on the other hand, is charging up. He's at 36% intensity, so we can really start healing Kugath now. Marauder Horsemen of Slaanesh did get into melee combat with the Barons of the Bog. That is a mistake. They need to get out of there. Stay out of distance and start throwing things rather than stay in melee combat. That is a pretty big mistake. Though Kugath is so low, they might be able to finish him off anyway. Looks like the Chaos Sorcerer of Slaanesh and Sigvald are both sprinting over to do exactly that. We'll see if they are able. Nurgle is ahead on the balance of power, though I think that's a little early. Because, man, he is low. Oh, he is so low. Oh, no. Oh, no, he is low. 600 HP. Still not even crumbling. Because good leadership things are good. This is in patch 2.2. I don't know if patch 2.3 fixed that, but this is patch 2.2. Kugath's super low. He's even got Melkot's Mystifying Miasma on him, but they just can't quite finish him off. We are almost 100% charged on the anti-Mortis engine, the Mortis heal gen. Kugath's just walking away from poor Sigvald, who is now surrounded by Plague Bearers. Slaanesh is quite far behind on the balance of power at this point. Most of the Marauder Horsemen are pushed off the map and running out of ammo. Kugath is still alive with 38 leadership because reasons. Because leadership is a real thing. So Kugath is kiting out Sigvald. Barons of the Bog are back in the fight. Slaanesh doesn't have any infantry really nearby at all. It's just Sigvald and the Shadows caster. Sigvald missed an attack on Kugath because he has 55 melee defense, so he's actually pretty formidable in that aspect. Sigvald's still trying to run him down. He just can't quite catch the fat man. There he did. He got one big hit onto his butt, and he starts crumbling. Nope. 34 leadership. All of a sudden, he's fine. 15? I love how he can flip from -2 to 30 with no abilities popped, because reasons. Melkoth's Mystifying Miasma popped on him again, really trying to finish off Kugath, but he just can't seem to do it. How is this Slaanesh Shrine doing? It's fully charged as well. So it's both Mortis and Anti-Mortis are at full effect, but yeah. I think army loss is going to hit poor Siggy pretty soon, especially if we get another Fecundity. Tier 2 Nurgle army ability onto Kugath. That would definitely cause army losses. Kugath throws out a Rancid Visitations to just delete the Chaos Sorcerer of Shadows, and that is going to be GG, I imagine. Boop. Boop. So this is just a bad matchup. I will say Slaanesh made some mistakes with their Skirmish Cav getting caught in melee a little too frequently. When they were doing really good damage to Kugath, they just needed to play slightly more careful and keep their Skirmish Cav alive. Keeper of Secrets YOLO'd itself into the blob and died, so that is a bit of a rough one there, but I don't know. These are very outdated builds, is what I'm noticing in this best of 5. It was played recently, but these are like just as Immortal Empires launched or pre-Immortal Empires builds, and I'm kind of surprised. Like the Warriors of Chaos versus Vampire Counts, game 1 I did talk about that, where it's like, I mean the meta now is for Vampire Counts to take Dragons, because Dragons got so many buffs that you can get really good breath attacks, you can get good angles for your Gazes of Nagash, you can get good cycle charges. Blood Dragon Lord get up to 1,000 damage with a lot of armor piercing in it, so he can like 2-shot Festus when he comes flying in there. I don't know. It seems like some old builds. But good series overall. Got to game 4. Electr1c does take it 3-1. With 2 different Nurgle blobs. I mean, sorry, Warriors of Chaos and Nurgle, but it was just 2 Nurgle blobs. That is the series. This is again from that Russian Championship. I don't have the bracket in front of me right now, but I'll probably cast some more series from it. It's just good best of 5s. I like casting best of 5s. Or best of 3s. Just things with stakes, man. Stakes! Goodbye. Oh, I'll update the score, and then I'll say goodbye. Pew! Goodbye. Roar! Subscribe, yes, yes.